While everyone else argues about codex creep and balanced data shapes, OnePageRules quietly built an army of players. It started as a tiny fan project, it's become a movement. Free rules, free printable armies, balanced updates, and a community growing faster than a Tyranid invasion. Today we're unpacking 5 reasons OPR is exploding and what it means for the entire wargaming world. Because this isn't just about new minis, it's about a revolution in player freedom. By the end of this video, you understand why thousands of hobbyists are switching systems, why every Warhammer veteran are sneaking back to their printers. And now OPR has quietly solved problems the industry spent decades ignoring. And if this helps you think sharper about what makes games grow, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next turning point. Let's start with the spark that lit the fuse. Accessibility. 5 years ago, OnePageRules was curiosity, a cute little fan rewrite. Now it's the most downloaded independent rule system in the world. Why? Because it's built for normal people. Fire up the website, boom, free core rules, one page. No login, no paywall, no binder thick of updates. Each game, grimdark future, age of fantasy, firefight, fits on one page, kinda. And that simplicity isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. Games like Warhammer train you to memorize complexity. OPR trains you to read clarity. The human brain loves friction-free decisions. When players spend less time cross-referencing codexes and more time thinking about tactical, retention soars. It's psychology 101. So OPR's genius was not make it shorter, it was to make it usable. Veterans return because they can teach a new player in 10 minutes. Beginners stay because they feel smart on turn 1. That first win creates ownership. Think about it. When was the last time you told someone, I just read a perfect rule book? Reason 2, community-driven balance. Every big publisher claims to listen to the community. OPR actually does it in its code. Every 3 months, they push live updates to every army simultaneously. No one waits for a codex. No one gets power creep into retirement. Why does this matter? Because it shifts the psychology of the competition. When everyone plays with current data, trust returns. You stop blaming the rules and start blaming your decisions. That's healthy engagement. And behind those updates is something powerful. Crowdsourced testing. OPR takes Discord polls, forum data, and player feedback from thousands of matches, then patches within weeks. Compare it to an 18-month cycle of major studios. OPR moves like an indie dev with a supercomputer. It taps into the basic human drive. Players don't just play the game, they shape it. And once you've had a taste of that agency, going back to top-down design feels like a downgrade. It's not just a rule system, it's a collaboration. When players become contributors, retention skyrockets. People protect what they help build. It's why modding communities keep old games alive for decades, and why OPR feels alive. So while other companies argue on Reddit, OPR ships balanced patches. That's the difference between a brand and a movement. Reason 3 is 3D printing. Remember when miniature collecting was locked behind resin prices and limited stock? Yeah, those days are over now. OPR was the first major system to embrace 3D printing as part of its ecosystem, not fight it. The Patreon releases full printable armies every month, affordable, high detail, and legally yours forever. This flips the economics of the hobby on its head. In traditional models, companies sell scarcity. OPR sells abundance, and abundance changes how people behave. When most cost barriers vanish, creativity erupts. Players customize armies, paint wild schemes, kit bash like mad scientists. That creates identity, the strongest form of brand loyalty. It also feeds a loop of empowerment. I print my own army, I feel ownership. I post online, someone else joins. Every STL shared is a free advertisement for the game. And because OPR links their rules and models directly through Patreon updates, the whole system feels frictionless, a miniature Netflix subscription. Players don't just buy in, they say subscribe to possibility. That's why 3D printing isn't a side hustle for OPR, it's the engine of the explosion. Reason 4 is the universal game design. And here's the part designers secretly envy. OPR's engine is modular. The same core mechanics from Grimdark Future, Age of Fantasy, Firefight, and even other scrimmage spin-offs. That means once you learn one, you can play them all. The psychology here is brilliant. Your brain loves reusing patterns. Every hour you spend learning one game makes the next one easier. Contrast that with companies that reinvent core mechanics every edition, forcing you to relearn from scratch just to sell new books. OPR does the opposite. It rewards long-term familiarity. Players feel smart for sticking around, and feeling smart is the most addictive loop in gaming. Universal design also builds community cohesion. No more splitting players based on sci-fi guys and fantasy guys. Everyone speaks the same mechanical language. It's why events and clubs can run mixed game nights with zero friction. You walk into a shop and say, "Want to play OPR?" And you instantly agree on how dice work. That predictability lowers social anxiety for new players, another huge psychology barrier in tabletop gaming. And since the rules are open license, creators can homebrew without legal fear. So the ecosystem expands organically, no gatekeeping required. In 2025, that feels refreshing, like open source software after years of paywalls. OPR just didn't design a rules system. It designed a shared language for play. Reason 5 is the culture of freedom. Here's the real secret. People aren't just buying rules, they're buying freedom. Freedom from edition resets, freedom from price walls, freedom from feeling like a customer instead of a commander. When players print, paint, and play without permission, it shifts ownership psychology from brand to community. That's why the energy around OPR feels different. There's no corporate top-down narrative telling you what's canon. You decide your own lore. And that autonomy translates to confidence. Player experience more, share more, teach more, because no one's fear of doing it wrong. It's the same psychology that made open world video game dominant. Player agency breeds immersion. Meanwhile, legacy systems still monetize restrictions. You can feel the difference in every comment thread. One side debates rules like customers at a store. The other side collaborates like artists in a studio. And identification is how culture forms. That's the 5th reason OPR just isn't popular. It's inevitable. So why is OnePageRules exploding in 25? Because they nailed 5 levers of human motivation: ease, fairness, creativity, mastery, and freedom. It made rules simple enough to learn, fair enough to trust, creative enough to own, deep enough to master, and open enough to share. That combination is rocket fuel for a community growth and a wake-up call to every studio still selling complexity as depth. Because tactics aren't just about moving models. They're about how games make you think, connect, and belong. OPR isn't fighting the industry, it's rewriting it. And that's why we say OnePageRules didn't just simplify wargaming. If you love seeing player-driven games win, hit subscribe so you never miss the next deep dive. And when you're ready to join the movement yourself, check out the next video, how to build your first OPR army for under $100. Because in 25, OPR isn't just a rule set, it's a revolutionary written on one page. And for the people that say that this is a pirated game from Games Workshop, if that was the case, they would have sued them already, just like they do every other game company